Hello friends, I wish you a very happy new year 2016. Welcome to National HRD Network 80th webinar on the theme How do you spot and develop talent in your organization? This webinar is exclusively sponsored by Adrenaline. I am Avinash Khurana and I am the moderator of today's webinar. Before we hand it over to the webinar to Mr. Anand
The
Pillai,
broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
we would like to share with you something about the organization National HRD Network, who is conducting this webinar. National HRD Network, known as NHRDN, is the national apex body of professionals committed to promoting the HRD movement in the country and enhancing the capability of human resource professionals to compete globally and thereby creating value for society. Towards this end, National HRD Network is committed to the development of human resources through education, training, research, and experience sharing. Established over 28 years ago, NHRDN is an autonomous, not-for-profit, professionally managed organization playing a catalyst role in grooming leaders for tomorrow. It has over 12,500 members representing multinationals, public and private organizations, including government, MSME, NGOs, spread across 30 chapters in India and serve as a reference point for HR professionals in Indian industry. This webinar, as I shared with you earlier, is exclusively sponsored by our partner Adrenaline. I would like to share something about Adrenaline. Adrenaline is an established pure play SCM vendor with over 600 plus customers and 600,000 users using the product across India, Middle East, APEC, Europe and Middle East and Europe and US. On an average of 2 customers per week get added to Adrenaline. This company was founded in the year 2002. Adrenaline is a comprehensive solution that covers every aspect of HR professional spectrum, right from workforce administration to enterprise, collaboration tools and mobile. It is a single platform that delivers social mobility, analytics, and collaboration, giving businesses the right trust it needs. Adrenal social tool is called Junction. Adrenal is a simple, easy to use product with expertise in global rollouts. Adrenal over the year have built strong SCM scenarios in leading verticals such as manufacturing, IT, ITES, BFSI, pharma, and healthcare, and many other large enterprises. Customers have selected Adrenal over large ERP players because of its simplicity and ability to integrate seamlessly with the existing system. Adrenal has over 50 plus strong system integrators and co-innovation partners globally. Now, I would like to share with you the details about this webinar. The speaker for today's webinar is Mr. Anand Pillai. And the webinar, which is for 1 hour duration, is divided into 2 parts. The presentation, or we can say the learning session, is for 45 minutes and Q&A session is for next 15 minutes. After the learning session, there will be poll questions that will be shared by me, and there are 4 poll questions and you are requested to answer those questions. And after those poll questions, you are free to ask any question from the speaker. Now, before I hand it over to Mr. Anand Pillai, the speaker for today's webinar, few lines about Mr. Anand Pillai. Mr. Anand Pillai, he is currently the CEO of Leadership Matters, the company formed by him. Before starting Leadership Matter, Mr. Anand Pillai was the Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Learning Officer at Reliance Industries Limited. He has been recently appointed to become a member of the World Economic Forum Global Agenda Council on New Model of Leadership 2011, given his thought leadership in the field of leadership and innovation. Over to Mr. Anand Pillai. Mr. Anand Pillai, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody, and it's my pleasure and privilege to first of all greet everyone a very happy new year. I trust that the new year has started with a big bang as it has for me, and I really wish that each one of you move from a position of strength to strength from one degree of victory to another, and from one opportunity into another. I thoroughly enjoyed the beginning of this year, and as I introduce you to this wonderful topic of identifying and developing high potentials, I want to thank both NHRDN and Adrenalin for providing this opportunity. I'm going to dive straight into the session, where my session overview, as you can see here, is what I call a 4x4 presentation overview. I will be introducing to you 4 critical skills for high performers, 4 tools that are necessary for us to identify these high potentials or high performers, and then once we have identified them, what are the 4 tools that we can use to develop these high potentials, and finally, what are the 4 steps that we need to have in retaining these high potentials. So let's look at the 4 critical skills to look for in top talent. The entire critical skills revolves around the word agility, and the 4 agility that any high potential, high performer has to have is in this manner. People agility. What is people agility? They should be positively politically agile. They must be skilled communicators, and you can spot them. You know, they must be self-aware of their personal self and constantly improve themselves. And of course, more certainly, they must be spiritually, situationally responsive. People having these qualities are considered to be having high people agility. The second agility is what we call mental agility. People who are comfortable with managing complexity, managing ambiguity, who find solutions for tough problems, and they're well read. They are broadly connected with what I call a walking encyclopedia. Everything that is necessary for them in their sphere of influence, they know that, and they really take it forward to that level and give it that necessary push. And of course, the third agility is results agility. They have a drive for personal presence. They are adaptable. They build high performance teams, and more than anything, they beat the odds and deliver outcome even though the situation changes. And the fourth agility is change agility. Their ability to tinker. They are never satisfied. They constantly challenge the status quo. They believe in the Wright brothers principle, where the Wright brothers said, if everything that is believed to be true is accepted as the truth, there will be little scope for innovation. So these are the people who challenge the status quo. They take the heat of resistance. They introduce new lands, and of course, bring in, they not only manage change, but they also lead change. Now let us look at the tools that are there for identifying the high potential talent. The first tool is the assessment, holistic assessment, which is what we call the 4P model. The second tool is looking at them or observing their behavior versus the situation. The third one is the 1E, 2A model, that is engagement versus ability and aspiration, and of course approach and the effort they put in. Let us look at the holistic 4P model for talent assessment. Typically, most organizations, when they use, when they want to assess talent, they look at only performance, the performance appraisal. But we need to look at the 3 other P's, which is potential, which is measured through a behavioral event interview. You observe them, look at their responses in the STAR format. And what is the STAR format? STAR. What is the situation? What is the task that they were given to? And what were the actions that they performed? And what were the results that they got? This will enable you to judge the potential of the individual. And of course, the third P is the perception. This is measured by way of 360-degree feedback. And when I talk about 360-degree feedback, I talk about the full 360-degree, which is subordinate, superior, direct working peer, indirect peer, and even customers and vendors, and of course the personality of the individual. And for personality, I recommend that we use minimum 1 type instrument and 1 trait instrument. So this four P's together will give us a holistic model for this talent assessment. Having got that, let us observe these people vis-a-vis the performance as well as the behavior versus the situation. So if you look at the person's behavior vis-a-vis the situation, block that into two components. The situation ordinary or extraordinary. The behavior could be ordinary or extraordinary. The high potential is one who demonstrates extraordinary behavior under extraordinary circumstances, and that's a very, very important quality. The other three categories, they don't fit in. There will be some people who will be demonstrating extraordinary behavior, but the situation is ordinary, or there are some people who are demonstrating they are in an extraordinary situation, but their behavior is just ordinary. For us to pick out the high potential, we need to pick out those people who are displaying extraordinary behavior under extraordinary circumstance. So that is the dynamic rate. Then look at, observe the KRA or key result area versus the efforts. So both the effort as well as the key result area is boxed into same or different, and the effort is also boxed into same or different. The high potential is one who puts in more efforts and handle more responsibility. The near eligible people will be people who put in more responsibility, but their effort is the same. They're handling more responsibility, but their effort is the same. Or some people are putting in more effort, but their KRA or the span of work is the same. For us to get the high potential, we need to look for the person with exceptional performance, high, putting in a lot of effort, and they're handling a lot of results. Then the E2A framework, this is looking at the person's aspiration versus their ability. So a high potential person is one who will have high aspiration, but at the same time has got high ability. The other eligible people, if I may use the word, are people who have high ability, but they lack the aspiration. We can work on them and see if we can motivate them by seeing the bigger picture. Then there are this other category of people who have high aspiration, but they are low ability. These people are good for working on some training and development purposes, and you can because they have the aspiration, we can work on their ability. But the people who pass through the test are people who are high in their aspiration and high in their ability, and then you filter a person, you filter the people who come both on high on aspiration as well as high on ability, but at the same time they also are engaged to the organization, and they are in a situation where they're totally sold out, they're committed to the organization. Now look at the high performance quadrant. When you look at the high performance quadrant, this again has got two parameters. You look at the person's approach on the x-axis, and that can be reactive or proactive, and then you can look at the person's effort, and that can be incremental or quantum. So if you look at this, four categories of employees come. The first category of employee is the person who's reactive in their approach and but incremental in their effort, and these people are problem solvers. I mean, they're definitely overhead in an organization, and they don't add much value. In fact, they add negative value. But the people who can be possibly groomed are the people who are proactive in their approach, but incremental in their effort. We can see if these process improvers can really move on. Or the other category of situation is the people who are reactive in their approach, but quantum in their effort. They can perform, but they are a high overhead in the organization because they perform very well under an autocratic leader. They constantly need direction. For us to really clearly mark out the high potentials, Those high potentials are the people who are high on their effort, their quantum effort, and they're proactive. They don't need to be told. They constantly find out what needs to be done and how that can be taken forward. Now, this kind of finishes the steps for not only looking for the qualities, but also the tools for identifying the high potentials. Now, having identified these high potentials, how are we going to develop this high potential talent, or how do you spot this talent? How do you develop the spotted talent? So in a summary, I'll just give the 4 tools for developing this spotted talent. The first one is the courage zone versus the comfort zone. All of us know that leaders are made in the courage zone and not in the comfort zone. Then of course the career rotation, putting them across careers, across rotations, putting them also into high performance and giving them high support, and allowing them to play in what I call the blue ocean grid. Let us look at each one of them in greater detail. Courage zone and comfort zone. The spotted high potential talent, what we need to do to develop them is enable them to have their KRA or key result area in the 60-40 ratio, with the comfort zone carrying 60% of their KRA and 40% of their KRA should be in the courage zone. What does this mean? This means that their KRA or KPP, key performance parameters, 60% of it should be in their comfort zone, that which they are naturally qualified, that which they are naturally experienced in, that which they are naturally skilled in, that which they have done before and have proven their worth. But about 40% of their courage zone should be in areas where they are yet to have ventured, things that they have not usually done, things which are in their stretch target, things which really enable them to think further, to cooperate, to work within the people and their team members and really take it forward. Once they work in this courage zone in a 40% ratio, over a period of time, some of these activities in the courage zone become their comfort zone because they are doing it, they have possibly mastered it. And that is the reason why we say we must revisit this entire 60-40 ratio once in every 18 to 36 months. Once we do this, 2 things happen. First, from a graphic point of view, the size of the circle increases, because what we have done is we have now reoriented, or we have added more activities into the courage zone. But from a human resource point of view, their deployability increases, their employability increases, the ability to put them across projects increases. So now we get what we call a highly fungible resource or a highly deployable talent. That's the first tool that is there to develop the high potential talent or the spotted talent. The second tool that we have is the career rotation cube. Here, unlike all other models where there were 2 axes, x-axis and y-axis, here there are 3 axes, and that is x-axis, y-axis, as well as the z-axis. For us to meaningfully develop the spotted talent, we must let them be flexible in at least 2 of the 3 parameters. What are the 3 parameters? The first parameter is the location. The second parameter is the function that they are in. And of course, the third parameter is the domain that we put these people into. So periodically, we must change the location. We must not keep the same location. We must put them in a different location. Periodically, we must change them in their function. We must not keep them in the same function. We must rotate them in their function. And periodically, we must rotate them in their domain that they are in. Once you do this, then they develop what we call a holistic approach in their ability to handle different locations, different functions, and different domains. And that is very, very important for us. And in fact, in my earlier company, we had a rule that nobody is eligible for senior management posting unless he or she has got or fulfilled what we call a 2 by 2 by 2 matrix. What is that 2 by 2 by 2? That is, that particular person must have been exposed to at least 2 major geographies out of the 3 geographies or 5 geographies. The person must have handled 2 out of the 5 functions. And what are the critical functions? Sales and marketing, finance, HR, production, operations, and quality. And of course, 2 of the domains or practice or product lines that the company is in. Once you develop this spotted talent in this kind of a manner, by rotating them in their locations, rotating them in their functions, rotating them in their domains, you then develop what we call a well-rounded personality. Then what is the environment that we get these people to work under? The environment can be classified again on 2 parameters. The first parameter is parameter we can then put them on to the blue ocean grid, allow them to prioritize their activities based on the 2 parameters, the value that that particular activity or action that they are taking, and map it to the effort that they are putting in that particular situation. We need to constantly encourage the spotted talent to work on that which is low in value but high in cost or effort, and work on them eliminating this. Because this is a non-value add item as far as they're concerned. Now they can do one of 2 things in eliminating. They can actually take this out of their KRA and put it into another department, or if this has to definitely be done by the department, then what they can do is they can take it out of their personal KRA and delegate it to one of their team members, and in the process they will develop them. And of course, you should also encourage them to reduce those activities which are relatively low in effort but also low in value, and here also they can either transfer it to another department or delegate it to another employee. Once they eliminate and reduce those activities which are low in value, they then create headroom for investing into high value areas. They then create headspace or extra capacity, or build in extra capacity into themselves for development. So the first thing that they should do with the extra capacity is work on those activities, those items, those areas which is high in value both to the organization, to them, as well as to the customers, and even though it requires extra effort, they should raise it well above the industry standard. And then of course, if they are working in the area of their strengths, they should then focus on creating that which is high in value, and because they are working in the area of their strengths, they don't have to really put in extra effort, and that enables them to really create a big impact. So once we finish allowing them to prioritize in the blue ocean category, I then come to the last stage. What are the 4 things that we must do to retain this top talent? Well, the first thing that we must do is give them a development roadmap. This particular spotted talent, he or she must see the organizational commitment in their personal as well as professional development. they must see the organization giving them a road map for development. And that development could be in terms of personal development, in terms of professional development, and the development could be even in terms of them getting higher responsibilities, higher KRAs, higher challenges, and really taking them forward into the next level, which is very important for them going forward. The second thing that is necessary is they must have coaching and mentoring by a competent boss. And I really want to emphasize this competent boss. A large number of the talent will have or will get free and fair advice from a lot of people, but not all of them are competent. So they must be in a position, or you must give them an opportunity to do and learn from a competent boss, and the boss and others must support them, but also challenge them by giving them exciting tasks, exciting opportunities, exciting locations, exciting functions, and exciting domains. This should be on an ongoing basis. It should not be on a sporadic basis or on a knee-jerk basis. They need to be having this coaching environment or supporting or mentoring environment. The third critical thing that is necessary for them is they must have a clear career plan. They must be in a position to see where they are heading in the next 3 to 5 year time. What are the responsibilities that they should be taking, and if they do take that responsibilities, what are the positions that they can aspire into, and how they can grow in the next 3 to 5 years as it goes on. Once we do that, then of course, the people say, wow, not only am I developing in this organization, not only am I getting coached or mentored in this organization, but I'm also seeing a clear career path where I'm moving into these positions and executing these lines of responsibility. Having done that, we also must be very careful in ensuring that their compensation is not only at par from the market, but also above par. I mean, the simple rule in life we need to understand is we must take care of our high potential talent, our spotted talent, because if we don't, somebody else will. And by the time that happens, then we would have lost them. So those are the 4 tips. The big question that I am asked quite often whenever I share this model is, okay, we're going to train this talent, we're going to develop this talent, we're going to coach this talent, we're going to mentor this talent, we're going to give them a lot of opportunities. So after you give all these opportunities, they become more marketable, they become more highly visible in the market. So the question that is asked is, what if we train our employees and they leave? Because everything that they do will basically make their market value more. Well, that is a valid question. I can't challenge that. My challenge is, what if we don't train these employees and they stay back? Well, that can be a big problem for us. So we should be large-hearted in our development approach. We should be large-hearted in our spotting and identifying and developing the talent with the idea that, yes, once we develop them, they will be our resource. Because Richard Branson said, we must train our people well enough so that they can leave. But at the same time, we must treat them well enough so that they don't want to. And that's a very important thing that we have. This finishes my first part of the presentation. And then, of course, the moderator from NHRD, what they will do is they will run you through a poll and ask you a few questions. And once that short module is over, you can unmute your mics and then you can ask me questions or type in the questions, and I'll be very free to ask them, answer all those questions. So that is what brings me to my end of my presentation, and over to the NHRDN moderator.
Thank you very much, Anand. The first question I'll read, and you'll have 2 minutes to answer this. It's going to be flashed on the screen. The first question is, what will be your biggest human capital challenge for the year 2015-2016. As you can see on the screen, the options.
Well, my biggest, yes,
The
attrition
options
or retention of talent, showcasing business value from human capital and employee engagement.
right.
So you're wanting people to respond to this, right?
Yes. Last 30 seconds for this question. Already 82% have already voted, so we'll request those who are left, please vote. We have last 19 seconds now. Thank you. Now we move to the second question. How do you manage your HR and payroll activities? So here are the three options. You can select your option. A, manual. B, in-house built software. 3, ARP solution. Last 30 seconds for this question. 10 seconds left for this question. Now, the fourth and the last question. Do you think it's mission critical to have HR automation? The four options are: A, it is good to have software, not must have. B, no, not the parity now. C, I can manage with my existing system. D, it is critical to have solid foundation and HR automation in place. Thirty seconds left for this question. Ten seconds left for this question. Thank you for polling. Now we will go for the results. We'll share the results now. So the first question, what will be your biggest human capital challenge for the year 2015-16? 45% of the participants say it's attrition or retention of talent. 38% showcasing business value from human capital management. 17% employee engagement. How do you manage your HR and payroll activities? Manual 9%, in-house built software 28%, ERP solution 64%. Question 3, what will be your organization's priority with respect to human resource management in the coming year? HR analytics 10%, talent management and performance management 63%, succession planning 15%, social media and HR 8%, employee engagement 4%. Do you think it's mission critical to have HR automation? 21% believe it is good to have software, not must have. 4% believe no, not of the parity now. 8% believe I can manage with my existing system. 68% believe it is critical to have solid foundation and HR automation. Thank you very much. With this, I hand it over back to Mr. Anand Pillai.
Yes, please ask your questions, and if the questions can be put together either in text form or direct, I'll be very happy to answer the questions for you. The questions could be on any part of what I shared, or on just general on spotting talent and really developing them, retaining them, tools to get them. Floor is open. Please unmute your mics and ask me the questions. You can even type in your questions in the chat mode.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is a question from Mr. Tushar. He says, should we communicate talent category to HIPO?
Well, there are both positives as well as negatives in declaring the spotted talent. Let me give you the positives first. For that, you'll have to do it in a manner that you do not declare them as high potential for life. You should say these are the hypos or spotted talent for this particular year, this phase. And when you announce that, this brings in positive energy to the spotted talent. But at the same time, this kind of gives a motivation to the others to say, okay, I did not make it this year, possibly next year I will make it. So in my opinion, this practice is a good practice of declaring to the spotted talent that they are the spotted talent. Some organizations keep it secretive. When they keep it secretive, the problem is even the spotted talent does not know that they are spotted, or they kind of have a gut feel about it. This does not really work well, and it does not, encourage meritocracy or transparency in the organization. I am for the practice where you declare it, but don't declare it as high potential for life. Say that they are for a particular phase, and rest can come in for the next phase, and this will bring in positive competition.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the second question from Swati. How can we measure and evaluate the high potential action plan?
How can we measure high potential what plan?
How can we measure and evaluate the high potential action plan?
Action plan.
Yes, sir.
Well, yeah. See, the action plan, when you put a development roadmap for these high potentials, these have to be measured vis-a-vis the target or the deliverables that are there. In some cases, what happens is you develop high potential for the sake of leadership development alone, and it is not linked with succession planning. In these cases, it is more difficult to measure the effectiveness of the development plan, because they're just developed and they're not necessarily given stretch roles or additional roles or new roles. But in cases where the development is linked with succession planning, then you put them into the new roles and you find out how they succeed. If they succeed, then the program is effective. If they don't, then obviously the program is not effective. Somewhere we have either gone wrong in identifying them, or we have gone wrong in developing them, or we have possibly not come out with the right measure to develop these people. So my personal recommendation is, please always link leadership development and high potential development to succession planning into actual concrete positions, rather than developing them for developing sake without giving them the additional responsibilities. In that case, it will be difficult for us to measure the effectiveness of that particular action plan. But wherever it is linked to succession planning, you can definitely link or measure the effectiveness by way of looking at their performance in their new roles. Next question.
Yes, sir. Next question is, what would be the best PSM practices for supporting high potential with company size of 70?
I did not get this question. Can you repeat it? What role?
Sure, sir. What would be the best PSM practices for supporting high potential with company size of 70?
Yeah, if the company size is 70, then this is a very easy process. You just look at the first four tools that I have given, look at how they are performing under ordinary situations, under extraordinary situations, look at how they are taking on responsibilities, look at how their approach to the situation is, whether they're proactive or reactive, and how they are creating an impact. It's relatively easy in a size organization of the size of small 70, but in bigger organizations it's more difficult. So if the case the organization is bigger, then you look at developing or identifying or spotting talent in smaller work groups or teams and then taking them to the larger level.
Thank you, sir. Sir, next question is.
Next question.
Yes, sir. Next question is, what are the skills to be developed for future leaders?
Yeah, so I have given in the first slide, if you see, the 4 agility that the people should develop themselves for if they have to be considered future leaders, and that is people agility, mental agility, change agility, and results agility. The entire combination is called learning agility. So if they can develop their mental agility, their ability to be well versed in a wide variety of circumstances, their people agility, their ability to work with all kinds of people and really use and leverage their stakeholder management, and of course deliver results under ambiguous and uncertain circumstances, and ability to lead and manage change, that will give them a high learning ability, which will make them a fit candidate as a future leader. Yep. Next question.
Sir, we are still waiting for the next question, sir.
Okay.
So I think there is no question from the participants. So we'll wrap up the webinar.
Well, we want to thank everybody who participated and thank the sponsors for organizing this session. If they do have questions, they can possibly ask on the posted webinar link, which can enable an ongoing dialogue.
Sure. That is all the time we have for our webinar today. On my personal behalf and on the behalf of NHRDN, I really thank Mr. Anand Pillai for sharing their wonderful thoughts, insights, and experience with us. We are indeed grateful to you, sir. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We look forward to your participation in our future programs. Till then, all the best and have a great day.
Thank you and have a great year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.